Morning everybody, it's Mark from MT Restorations again. Just continuing on our little project we've been doing this week. The 1926 engine and motor project that we had. We had 2 or 3 bodies come in the mail with an engine with a motor that didn't run. And you saw that on the last episode. We got that in pretty good shape. The motor's running, runs really well. Got the body that we decided to choose to go with, and got that here sitting, and it's been primered. We're going to paint that. And the frame, like we talked about before, I wanted a powder coat in black. So today we're just going to do a little quick powder coat session, show you how that's done and what it takes to do that, and then we'll go from there. If you remember, the frame was just a pressed out stamped frame from Lionel. It's been media blasted and it's ready for coating now. It's been all cleaned. What I do after we blast it to take off all the finger marks and oils from the skin, I wipe everything down that we're going to powder coat with acetone. So that's a good step to remember when you're powder coating. Wash down all your pieces in acetone. Takes all the oils off. The powder coating will stick well. And I figured instead of just spraying the frame today, I thought I'd throw in a couple trucks from the other project we're doing, the 600 series, 6, 13, 14, 15 passenger cars. I have 8 trucks that I took out of stock that we're going to work with, and I'm going to powder coat some of them today, talk about how that works out. And if you recall, I mentioned you might see a little bit of tape on here. This isn't usual just masking tape. This is a fiberglass heat resistant tape. I put that around the little brass stub that comes up. It's a truck stud. It's got the little hole in it for a carter pin. So I want to maintain that brass look. So I wrap those in the fiberglass tape, and that'll protect it during the oven process. So we're going to hook these up in here and get ready to go. Got my little powder coating gun, and we just need a little bit of air. It works right off of like 5 to 10 pounds of air. It's not a big deal here. Got my little trusty compressor sitting right here. So we're all set. We're about 10. Once we give it a squirt, it will go down a little bit in pounds. Let me get my fan on. Excuse my reach. Get my fan on and suck out some of the powder that we don't use. It's my little paint booth. So normally I would put my mask on. I don't have a big load today that we're powder coating, and it's easier to understand me if I talk through it a little bit. So hopefully everybody can see this pretty well. And just, you see the powder come out, and what that does, when you give it some power, this works like static electricity. This is electrode, this is the button. When I press the button down, it creates a field, a magnetic field, which you'll see this will stick to these items. And what I like to do is turn them around just to make sure that I'm getting coverage, good coverage everywhere. Looks like I am. Look underneath, see what we got there going on. We could use a little bit more underneath. So what we'll do is put this back up in here. Get a little bit more up under here, just to make sure. You see the spark. That's what makes the powder coat stick to the metal when I hold this button down. It clings to it. Take a look. See what we got here. Oh, it looks pretty good. Looks like we got a good coverage on this one. And we'll check out these and see how these did. Looks like we have a pretty good coat on these as well. So what I'm going to do is we'll pull these down, we'll get the oven cooking, and I'll pop those in the oven and I'll show you how that goes. So give me a minute. Hey, we're back and powder coating. Here we are, we got the oven on, got it heated up. I got the parts that we just powder coated inside. What you'll see, it's difficult to see because they're black parts inside of a dark oven, but powder coat is a polymer. It's sort of like a plastic coating on metal, to be generic about it. It's like talcum powder. It sticks to the metal, like I said, with the friction and from the magnetic effect that it has when you put the electrodes to it. So when it sticks and you heat it up to 450 degrees, and I do it for about 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending. You'll see it after it starts to glisten. It'll start to turn to liquid as it heats up. And as soon as that happens, I turn the heat down to about 300. That'll just keep it hot enough to settle in and cover the metal evenly. And then a couple of minutes after that, let it cool down, shut it off. Within 3-4 minutes, you can handle the pieces. You can assemble the parts into whatever you're building. It's really nice. You don't have to wait 24 hours, 48 hours or longer for paint to cure. It's an easy process, as you saw. Only took me a few minutes to shoot those parts with some black. It's gloss black powder coat. It comes in hundreds of colors. So I like to do both. I powder coat and paint for that reason. It gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of color choices. Some pieces I use a little bit of both on the same piece. I may powder coat the frame and paint the body. Or the trucks may be powder coated. I mean, it depends on what the look I'm going for. So these already are liquefying. It's hard to see. I don't know if that helps any, but they're getting a little shiny, a little glossy. And that means that the powder is turning to a liquid. They call it flowing. Once it starts to flow, that means it's hot enough in there to react with the polymer. It's melting. So I can turn this down. We'll go around 350, let it cook in there a little bit. Take the timer down to about 10. And short time now, it's going to, it'll be done. Then we'll pull those out and hang them up for a minute or two, and we'll be able to handle them. So in the meantime, while we're doing that, I wanted to just mention the body. If you remember that shell I talked about, this is the body for that motor, and the frames in there being powder coated. So we got our little motor. We got the body that we're going to choose, and you can see I taped off all those little brass stanchions that we talked about on the last episode. That's what holds on all the trims that we were making. So I haven't decided on a color yet. I'm going to paint it. This has been primered already, so it'll be ready for paint today. So I'm going to pick a color. I'm not sure which yet. But I'll take a shot of that while we're painting. I use the same paint booth, turn the fan on, spray it, and I will also put it in the oven. Not really to bake, but I like to put them in here and hang them off the rack. It's a little bit more dust or dirt free in there. And you can apply a little bit of heat. I've done that. Some guys do that. I've gone on the internet and say, and see that some fellas that spray a lot of paint, they said we like to put it in a little oven, heat it up to about 150, 250 degrees for a few minutes, and that helps set the paint. I've done it. It seems to work okay. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't have that. I have a lot of time on my hands, so I don't have to really rush it that much. But I still like to put it in there to keep it out of the dirt and dust that's going around in the air in here. So we'll pick a color. We'll spray this up, and it'll be ready in a day or so. The reason I did not powder coat the body, like I said, I could have covered these stanchions with my heat resistant tape, But the body, for the most part, it's all full of solder from Lionel. Solder, when it gets to the temperature of the oven, sometimes has a tendency to let loose. I think solder reacts around 600 degrees, I'm not sure, but the oven going up to 450, some of the older solders, the molten temperature is a little bit less than it is today on the solder, so I don't want to risk it. I had a couple pieces over time, parts let go in the oven, so I don't powder coat many items that have a lot of solder holding them together. So that's why I chose paint for this body. But for the most part, like I said, in a day or two, we'll have all these done, ready to go. We'll have all the trims made. I did paint the bell frame a brass color, like we talked about. I have the brass strap light, and we'll be ready to go. These parts will be ready to go here shortly. And they're all wet in there. They're all done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of turn this off. Heard my trusty timer bell, and we'll give that a minute or two, and to cool down a little bit. If you want to hang in there with me and talk about some of the things to do to powder coat. I don't know if anybody wants to powder coat or is interested in any of that, but you know, I got this stuff from Eastwood online. I bought a lot of powder coat equipment a couple years ago. I just wanted to try it out. I got two guns. This one is a dual voltage system. That's hard to say. So you can see there's a switch here. I can switch from low to high, and sometimes that higher voltage helps when you're powder coating over top of a powder coated primer or a base color. And I have the regular gun, single voltage as well. So I have two powder coat guns, and it's kind of a simple process. Like I said, I buy all my supplies from Eastwood. I get all my colors there, and I get my stainless steel wire. Use stainless steel wire to make hooks for you can hang them. Stainless steel works the best. It's not very expensive. And then at the end, when everything's powder coated, you have a lot of hooks on your hands for when you do paint and hang things up. So like I said, the process is simple. The equipment is not over expensive. I don't know how much of a hobbyist you are, paint cars or trains or whatever you paint metal wise, but if it fits in the oven size wise, I think powder coating is the best system. But like I said, I have to paint sometimes because of the type of train car that we have, that we're working on, so I do both. So we'll take these out. I'm going to check out and see what we got. They're still hot, so what we'll do is we'll cheat a little bit. We'll use my trusty hook. My needle nose. I'm going to set this up here for a minute. Let that cool. Won't take long. I got the fan on. It's cool in here. Got the air conditioner running today. Just hang up these couple pieces right here. Anxious to get that frame out and see what that frame looks like. Yeah, so here we go. It's not too bad already. It's pretty cool. Can hold the hook. So I know it's hard to see, but it's high gloss black powder coat. As you can see, it gets in the nooks and crannies very well. Like I said, it's like a magnet, so that it tracks the powder and it gets up in all the little nooks and crannies pretty well. Still warm, but in a minute or two it'll be cool, nice, you can handle it right out of the oven, and it'll be ready. I can mount the motor in it. There you go. Put this right around the motor, and that'll go on top of that. Pretty cool. It's getting there. So I'll let these cure, sit up, cool. Like I said, I just did a couple of the trucks from the other project just because I was doing black in the trucks. I might as well do the trucks in black. I got a couple more on the table I'm going to do, and while we're gone, and then we'll go from there. The next time you see me, hopefully we'll have this painted or painting that. I just once I figure out on a color, and then we'll assemble everything. We'll trim this out with all the brass parts we made yesterday, and we'll put it on a track and see how it does. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. Send me some comments if you can. Again, my email is MT.TrainRestorations, all one word, at gmail.com, and watch for me on YouTube. See you next time. Bye-bye.